Welcome to Nav Chat, the show for the New Zealand orienteering and navigation sports community. Hey everyone, welcome back to Nav Chat. Today it's just me. Tom's busy romping in the South Island, so let's let him have a good time down there, and I'll just get you guys up to date with the news and also another guest interview with Lizzie Ingham today. So I've just had quite a good time over the weekend at Pukapu Central Champs. We had a middle and a long distance. That was the second set of racing I've done in quite a long time. We had an event the weekend before, and so as many of the orienteers in New Zealand are feeling at the moment, things are not as sharp as they wish they were. But for many of us, we've got these races coming up in the South Island in January, so we'd like to be sharper than we currently are. Those of us that got some racing in over the weekend are feeling a lot more confident going into the races in January. And Lizzie was also there over the weekend, so it was great to see her. And yeah, let's hear her guest interview and see how she's going, given the choppy season we've had and the races over the weekend. Hey Lizzie, how are you going?
Yeah, not too bad. Nice to take a break.
Yeah, how are you after the weekend?
Not too bad, eh? Legs certainly feel it 'cause it's first time racing in a while.
Yeah, and first time in soft ground for a while as well. I can feel my ankles are a little bit sore getting out of bed this morning. Just the first step was like, oh man, there's a few sore bits. Yeah, just some things that haven't been trained quite so much recently.
It's funny, eh? So I've been doing plenty of running in the mountains, but it's definitely not the same as running in the sand.
Yeah, for sure. So what other orienteering have you been doing in the past year? It's been really messy for most of us. What about you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely noticed it the weekend. That was my first technical orienteering in 6 months, and it really showed. So I mean, do I remember the first half of the year? I'm not sure I do.
Yeah.
Definitely not since Queen's birthday. Queen's birthday down in Christchurch was the last, forest orienteering. We've had club events and we've had some good sprints up here in Taranaki, but yeah, it's been very stop-start, as it has with pretty much everyone, I reckon.
Yeah, I think that comment came around a number of times over the weekend that this was a bit of a shock for people who hadn't done much. Yeah, so you've got some local sprint stuff in and around New Plymouth. What are the maps like there?
Oh, look, we've got fantastic sprint maps, so that's all good.
Yeah.
Plenty of schools, polytechs, and bits of bushland to connect them all. So they're small areas, but we're pretty good at making the best of them now.
Yeah. Cool. And jumping back a little bit more, how long has it been since you returned to New Zealand from Norway?
It'd be almost bang on 2 years now.
Wow. Yeah, it kind of seems like only a year ago, I think, because I haven't really seen you that often. No one's really seen anyone, for like 2 years now.
Yeah. And there hasn't been, this year it's felt like you're missing out a bit more on what's going on overseas, but certainly 2020 was a write-off.
Yeah, that was a write-off.
It's been a weird one.
Well. Yeah. So what was the main motivation for coming back from Europe?
For me, it was time to take a break, get back to family. Come home for a bit, and the plan was pretty open. I didn't know if it was going to be for 6 months, 12 months, 12 years. So COVID kind of made that decision for me.
Yeah.
For at least the time being. But yeah, no, it was a really good, fortunate timing. But the decision itself was nothing to do with COVID. It was to come back to my roots.
Yeah, that's cool. It's great to have you back. I think good for the competition for sure. So yeah, in this past 2 years that have been a bit messy and kind of everything's getting cancelled, have you had any troubles with motivation or thoughts there?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it's like I think for everyone it comes and goes. To begin with, it was like, we don't know how long this is going to be. Maybe there will be a season, so kind of keep trying to train. I've had a couple of injury issues along the way, so then it was actually quite a relief when there's no competitions. I can take the time to rehab and come back and do it properly in good time. But then this year has definitely been kind of dragging along, not sure, motivation wise, not sure quite what you're training for. Or, I thought entered Oz champs, thought that's something good to aim for and train up for, and then that was fairly quickly going down the tubes. And now the same with Oceania. So it's hard to kind of set yourself a goal or an aim and then have that delayed or moved constantly. So I think it's perfectly fine to feel that lack of motivation. For me, it's kind of that probably unfounded fear that I won't find that motivation again when it does come to, the opportunity to race overseas.
Yeah, that's right. I have noticed times when I haven't been quite so motivated and wondered if this was the change of something bigger. But in hindsight, it's always been quite good just to go with the flow, and the motivation has come back quite naturally. Yeah, maybe that was my body telling me that I needed a bit of time off. So yeah, that's good to hear you're not kind of grinding against it.
Nah. I mean, every time, even this weekend or like nationals at Easter, you go to a larger event, you see everyone again, and that buzz just comes straight back. So it'll come.
So what's the training like for you at the moment, given this uncertainty?
I'm just ticking along. Most of my training, to be honest, is just staying mentally fit. So, I'm working full time, and when I get home from work, going out for a run or training, that's my mental unload, and that keeps the fitness ticking along. So I haven't had any focused training or even training structure for a long time. But it's that base fitness, and I know you'll have found for sure, given your injuries and coming back from injuries, if you've got that base, then you know that when you do focus your training and you get a training plan in place, you can get that top end fitness back pretty quick. So it's just keeping ticking along and enjoying what I'm doing, not stressing about it. Yeah,
I think that's really good insight there. Yeah, and I have noticed that just how important it was to keep some hours of doing something, even if it was just walking, just to keep the routine. And that did keep my fitness from kind of dropping off too much, and my body was just used to spending the time doing stuff each day when I got back to running. So it's not that like going for a walk is a failure if it just keeps that training slot and that routine in the day. I think that's really good.
I think it's far more important to enjoy what you're doing, rather than, because if you are worrying about having structure and proper training all the time, but then your events keep getting put off again, then the fatigue will come in and the motivation will drop. But if it's just going and doing what you want, then the base is there for when you can launch off.
Yeah, that's cool. And hopefully there is some launch off for Oceania or whatever it is now. I felt like I've done orienteering last weekend, and then 9 days ago, and then this week, or 8 days ago, and then this weekend, the last 2 days. So that's 3 races. Feeling a bit more confident. And that's possibly all it's going to be before heading south and taking on some other races. So I think that's probably where everyone's at. So it should be fair enough, and it should be
a pretty level playing field.
I think so. I've just had a look at the program, and the terrain does look good as well.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it looks like still awesome areas.
Yeah,
good company.
Good company will be cool, and summer in the South Island is Always good. So I look forward to seeing you down there
Cheers.
at not Oceania, whatever it is, and looking forward to doing some racing with the community and connecting again.
Yeah, it'll be awesome to see everyone get back into it. Get excited for 2022.
Yeah, that's right. I am optimistic.
I think we're all optimistic, but realistic as well.
Yeah,
just
maybe
take it as it comes.
we're at the stage we're scared to be optimistic, but the time will come when we're it's the right time to be optimistic, and we are probably going to be too cautious just because we've learned to be cautious over the past 2 years. So hopefully this is the real time where we do open up for real.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
All good.
Cool. Thanks, Lizzie.
Sweet. See you there.
Cool. So that was nice to hear from Lizzie. I think it's fair to say that we're all facing different challenges over the past 2 years, with a lot of orienteering being cancelled. And it's cool to hear that a lot of other people have found other sports, found other pursuits to keep them occupied, while a lot of the orienteering has been cancelled or postponed, and the season's just very uncertain. So Lizzie and I are still enjoying the running and enjoying training. Maybe the structure isn't quite the same, but we're still doing that because we enjoy doing it, not because we feel some commitment to keep training as if the next race is everything. But it was really cool to catch up with people on the weekend to hear the other things that they've gotten into over the past 2 years, things to keep a really healthy lifestyle going. So that was great. And we're all looking forward to next year being the 2020 that we thought was going to happen, and kind of getting back to having a season that builds towards some big races where everyone can attend. And January will be a good time for us to get a taste of what the rest of the year might be like as New Zealand progressively opens up. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this progression from not orienteering season to more into the orienteering season. And we call it rustiness when you haven't done much orienteering and you pick up the map for the first time and things just don't go right. You're doing behaviors that you just wouldn't normally be doing when you've had orienteering races every weekend or every second weekend. And so I had some good performances on the weekend, and I think it really helped for me to break that rustiness the weekend beforehand. So let's jump back to last week, and I'll talk a little bit about the approach that I had. So I knew I wanted to take the Pukapu Champs reasonably aggressively. I wanted it to be a good blowout. And that meant that the preparation actually started the weekend before, where we had a local event near Levin, and I did a proper warm-up. I kind of had a start time, and I had some spacing between the other runners on that course, and I knew I was going to be overtaking some people. So that's also an important part about kind of race simulation, is that you're seeing other people and battling against your distraction when that inevitably happens. So we'll jump across to have a quick look at that map. So this is the race. It's not super technical because there's no trees, but it's good enough to blow out the cobwebs and practice that pre-race routine. Try to get some nerves going, so that the anxiety and nervousness you feel before an actual race isn't totally unfamiliar. So it was really useful for me to have a good crack at this race. Just over half an hour, so perfect for a middle distance simulation, and pushed really hard and got into that red zone where your brain feels like it doesn't have enough time to grapple with the navigation, and you're having to battle between this trade-off of focusing on your feet and focusing on the navigation. So that was really useful for me, I think. And of course, this is the actual race for the middle distance on Saturday, and you can see just how detailed this map is and how tough a lot of the terrain is. There's a lot of vegetation and a lot of dense vegetation. It's really slowing you down and pushing you around. And I think if you haven't had a good chance to experience that at race pace in months, then it's really tough going, and your process gets destroyed from the start, and you never find a good rhythm with the navigation. And yeah, I was grappling with this from the start. I would have been much worse off, I think, if I didn't do some serious orienteering the weekend beforehand. So and also it's really important that if you are doing a race simulation, that there's other people around as well. I think the distractions are one of the main things you're trying to prevent yourself from being derailed by. And you can see here, I was doing fairly well by myself, caught some people up at 8, floundered for 9, and then totally wasted time on the way to 10 doing this big wiggly line all the way to 10 because there were people around and I was frantic. And I need more practice. And I think I wanted to reflect on just how important it is to have some races that you take seriously before the big race so that you can actually do better in the bigger races. And this is something that I've noticed overseas for myself as well. I'm just so nervous before these big races, and I haven't had enough preparation before them, enough other races that replicate that level of stress and pressure. And so my brain's pretty crippled going into some of those bigger races because I'm so stressed. I managed to get that balance a lot better on this second day, this long distance yesterday. I was a lot calmer and very, I think, confident in my own ability going into it, knowing that I didn't have to run hard from the very first control. And I think, when you're relaxed like that, you can do some really smooth navigation. And I think that's what I did. Just the whole time I was smooth, small little wobble at 4, but my navigation was just really confident. And I saw some other people and just wasn't phased, just ignored them, knew that I'm better on my own. And there was a totally different mindset to what I was like the week before when I was doing that kind of a simulation on that farmland map. And so, yeah, this is really useful, I think, to do a kind of simulation where you can show yourself how fragile your process is and really buy into the idea that you need to concentrate and you can't just orienteer well because you want to. You actually have to have a lot of practical steps put in place. So, yeah, I felt like I was just really realistic about where the difficulty was on this course yesterday and didn't blow up on any of the difficult parts. It's just really relaxed. So it's good to be able to go into a race that you're taking seriously and be relaxed, which is not what I've experienced overseas. I've gone into big races feeling quite nervous and often been very twitchy when I catch someone or someone catches me and I do something silly. So this was good. We'll jump into some other news. So yeah, the junior camps have all been split up into 3 different junior camps. There's an Auckland one, and there's a Wellington Wairarapa camp, and a Nelson one. So that's great that these camps are going ahead, and that a lot of the juniors have a chance to catch up with people they haven't seen for much of the year because so many of the races have been cancelled. So yeah, really happy to see that those things are going ahead. Some other not so good news is there's been quite a big fire in Woodhull Forest, which the first thing I heard of that, I was just had a bit of a disaster image in my head of the whole thing being burned down. All of Orienteering in Auckland is dead. Fortunately not. It's fairly contained. But yeah, a decent few blocks got burned. It looks like the fire started from the beach and kind of came inland and burnt down a decent chunk of forest. Hasn't really affected any maps. It's quite far north in Woodhull Forest. I don't think we have at least any up-to-date maps. I'm sure there's an old map somewhere out there that's been affected, but nothing that is in the current use cycle. So yeah, that's just a bit close to home, I guess, and hopefully we don't see anything else. But yeah, if summer gets hotter and hotter each year, as it seems to be doing, risks like this are on the cards. So yeah, that's very sad, and hopefully we don't see anything more like this affecting some of our treasured orienteering areas. Jumping forward a little bit to the New Zealand Champs in 2022, which is held in Nelson. There's a notice here about the areas that are embargoed. So that, of course, tells us where the races are, but also where you can't go training. So we've got an urban sprint at Nelson College, and I'm assuming there's possibly some surrounding areas. So looking forward to that. There'll be some fast technical campus racing and Motorola Rabbit Island. We've got the relay there. So no training there, guys. But I'm sure there's other parts of Motorola that you are allowed to use. But if you look specifically at the embargo locations, Rabbit Island's a fairly big area. Take a look at the locations that you are and aren't allowed to use. And this is also just good practice to remind yourself that areas do get embargoed, and sometimes it's not super obvious. There's not a notification on your phone telling you that. So those of us who are doing training do need to stay on top of these things and check the ONZ website for embargo notices. So yeah, we don't, destroy the kind of sportsmanship of orienteering by going into some of these areas and being familiar with them, even if it's by accident. And the final area is Cannon Downs, which some of us used fairly recently for a training camp, but looks like it's the area being used for the long distance and the middle distance. I've heard it's a complete remap though, which is a massive relief, because the map we were using was very old and very strange, actually, very strange mapping. So I'm looking forward to seeing the new map and looking forward to racing there. We just had one day of a training camp there where we did some long route choice stuff, and it was cool. But I think if it's mapped accurately, it'll be very cool, because you'll be able to be confident with some of the gaps through the trees a lot more, and some of the beech forest there is amazing if it was mapped accurately. It'll take a long time for a map to draw properly. I think the visibility is low, the going is tough, and the terrain is pretty extreme. So yeah, looking forward to that. But for the Nelson folk, no training in those areas for now. And I wanted to share this if you're interested in sprint orienteering, and specifically knockout sprint orienteering. There's a presentation that Malcolm did with Orienteering Australia, and Orienteering Australia and ONZ kind of joining forces a little bit more, where there's a bit more collaboration. And COVID has helped us a little bit, because everyone's doing things online on video calls. So this last one that Orienteering Australia hosted, Malcolm, who's one of the more experienced people in Oceania with knockout sprints, as he says, he's not very experienced, but no one else is experienced. He's actually set some knockout sprints and studied a little bit about the races in Europe, the knockout sprint races that have been run so far. And he's got some good tips on what tends to happen. And here's a quick example you can see on the page there of 3 different options that you have to choose between before you start. 20 seconds to choose which variation you would like. And you don't know what the other, because it's a mass start, you don't know what the other competitors on the start line have chosen. So it's quite different to anything else that we've done in orienteering so far. It's a very different style, and for the purists, they're cringing at this kind of stuff, but it makes for quite exciting racing. And I'm almost too nervous to do one because it's very fast paced and very cutthroat. So, yep, we're going to see a lot more of this very high pressure racing to come. And if you like the pressure, then this is cool. And it's not just for the elites as well. You can, your age grade can mass start, and there's these added dimensions to build the pressure, like choosing variations on a short sprint course. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'd go to the ONZ website and check out the knockout sprint discussion. There's a presentation and the recording of the video call there to check out. And the last thing is jobs. This would be cool if we can have a monthly job section, as we started last week. So quick recap on that. Congrats to Ronan Lee, who got the job that I was offering. So he's helping out over summer, designing these power pack rough paddles and a new style of orienteering control flags. But the next job that's on offer it's not me paying, it's ONZ, and they want a new events liaison officer. So that was previously a job occupied by Russell Hyam from Red Kiwis, and he's decided to step down after some years of doing this job. So it's back on the market, and it's mainly some admin stuff. There's a bit of communication between ONZ and IOF with regards to world ranking events and some other requirements. And then there's some other jobs helping out general manager and some of the other ONZ staff. So yeah, if anyone who's confident doing stuff online and a good communicator and can work with documents and Excel spreadsheets, then hey, there's a job on offer inside Orienteering, 5 to 7 hours per week. So you can jump onto the ONZ website to check this out. We need a new event liaison officer. So yeah, that'll be cool to see the team get reshuffled. There's a few of us now working for ONZ, and bring some fresh faces in. So definitely encourage people to apply. It's not a huge commitment and flexible hours and stuff. So yeah, that's cool. So that's most of what we've got this week. And Tom will be back with this month. And Tom will be back with us next month. In the meantime, keep up whatever is keeping you active, whatever is keeping you engaged. And I hope to see many of you at the Oceania or the races in the South Island. And putting our skills to the test in whatever grade suits you and whatever length course suits you. It'll be great to see everyone again, even if we're super rusty.
If you liked the show, please support it by sharing this podcast with one person who would benefit from it. The best place to find more content like this is at genebeverage.nz, where you can find years of training blogs, race reports, podcasts, and coaching videos. If you don't want to miss future episodes, I recommend subscribing to my newsletter by visiting genebeverage.nz or by following on social media, Perfect Flow on Facebook and Gene Beverage on Instagram. For Q&A, send messages to nav@perfectflow.nz.